Hi, it's Marianne of MW's Designs. Today I'm going to show you how I finished off my spring Easter card, and there are a number of steps involved, so this may be one video or I may end up splitting it into two. I'll just see how it goes. I'm going to start by using a rainbow that I painted in one of my previous videos, and I'm just going to cut it out. It's fairly easy because it's a simple shape, so just get the top part cut out and then the bottom part, and I was a little sloppy in the painting around the edges, but it doesn't really matter because, as I said in my previous video, that ends up getting cut off. So there's no problem. And we will get rid of the scraps. And now I'm going to use my scallop scissors to do the ends of the rainbow. And I want to make sure that I get the scallops on the right side of the scissors. If I cut this out here, the scallops would be going inward, and I don't want that. So I just turn my scissors over, and now I have my scallops going in the right direction. And I line them up along the edge. I want a fairly gradual slope so that I think that ends up looking the best. So just get this cut off here. And then do the other side. And again, kind of a gradual slope. And get rid of those scraps. So there is my rainbow all cut out. And the next thing I'm going to do is paint the edges. I prefer the edges not to be white because I think it actually looks better to have a color, and I just paint it on because it's the same color that I used when I was actually painting the rainbow. Now this is a little hard to tell what I'm doing, but just on the edges and even on the scallops, and it actually doesn't matter what color I paint on the scallops as long as we don't have that white edge showing. Then for the bottom, I'm going to switch to the purple because that was the color on the bottom strip of the rainbow. This, maybe you can see a little better where I'm applying the color. But anyway, when you're doing it on your own rainbow, I'm sure you'll know what I mean. Okay, so we set that aside to dry. And next, I'm going to be putting on sparkles. And I'm going to put a cloth underneath my rainbow so that it doesn't make a mess on my mat. Now I just use a dollar store container of sparkle glue. I take the lid off, and I store my sparkles upside down so that the sparkles are always near the bottom, near where I want them to come out. And I just put a few blobs of sparkles on my rainbow. Then I'm going to use a spatula to quickly spread them all out. And that's all you need to do. And you can set that aside to dry. If you don't have a plastic spatula, you could use a popsicle stick or a toothpick or even an old butter knife. Whatever you have available to use is fine. So that gets set aside to dry. Next, I'm going to make the sentiment card. Now you could do these in a number of ways. I wrote out Happy Easter on mine, but if you have a hard time writing out whatever you want to have on there, you could try printing, or you could use a stamp, or you could, what else did I have? Oh, you could use stickers, or even type off some sentiments and print them off on your printer and cut them out. So anyway, to start with, I have a strip of just scrap watercolor paper, and I am wetting it on both sides because, as I told you in a previous video, that helps the watercolor paper lie flat and you have it damp enough so that you can get the paint on before it dries too much. So I'm just going to use the blue paint and just get it painted on there, and I'll set that aside to dry. And next I am going to take my dried paper and just kind of eyeball it. I'm not going to go right down the middle because I want it to be a little bit wide, but I just cut it out. And if it's hard for you to cut a straight line, you can always trace around the size that you want and cut it out from there. So now I have a longer strip, and I'm just going to see where I want to cut it for length. And again, I like to eyeball things, but if you like to measure, go ahead and measure to be a little more accurate. So I know that is going to fit in just below my rainbow and above my flowers. Then I am going to do the edges. And what I do for that is I like to, again, use my scallop scissors. And it's kind of a neat thing that you can do with this, and again, get it in the right direction. There's a little scallop. I don't know how I can show you this. Let's see. There's a scallop in the middle. I line it up diagonally across the corner, and then there's just a little bit on each side of that one scallop. So I cut that, and then you can see, I can get it in line here, you have a nice edge there. I really like that edge. And then I do the same thing on the other corners, and I try and line it up so that they're even on both sides. So that's pretty good. And then the other two corners. And if you don't want a scalloped corner like I'm doing, you could use a corner rounder and make your corners round, like this one. If you have a corner rounder, you can do that. Or if you don't have a corner rounder, you can find something small that's round and then just line it up on a corner. Use a pencil or pen and just go around, and then try and make it similar on the other side. I know a technique that you could use, another technique that you could use is you can cut off this first corner and then flip it over and line it up on the other side so that you get an exact duplicate on each side. But on an item this small, that might be a little difficult, so I prefer just to eyeball it. Then I use my smallest scissors and carefully cut it out. And if you do it carefully enough, that works as well as a corner rounder. So there's lots of options for you. Now I'm going to use my scalloped edged one. And I have my blue pen around here somewhere. Let's see, there it is. I thought I lost it. And as I did in a previous video, I'm going to pull the pen towards me and get a fairly straight line inside because I like a border. Then I go around my scalloped edges. I'm not sure if you can see this very well, but basically I'm just going around the inside edges. Then the long one again, pulling it towards me, and it may not be perfectly straight, but the total effect is quite nice, I think. And sometimes it takes a little bit of practice. You may want to do some on some scrap paper first till you get the hang of it. Then I am going to write in Happy Easter. This one is a little smaller than my original, but I just kind of go for it. So I write in Happy Easter, and I do it different ways sometimes. And if you have trouble writing it, as I said, you could print it or use a stamp or a sticker. Again, there are options in how you do it. And I found that if I practiced my writing on lots of scrap paper, I got a lot better. And it's quite amazing. You just have to keep practicing it and it comes along. Okay, now what is next? Okay, I have my card base, which is a white one, or sometimes I use cream colored ones, but I don't really want that as my background. You could, but I think it stands out better to have an edge. And what I am going to use is the purple, because that was one of the colors in my rainbow. And it's always good to repeat your colors in different parts of your artwork, no matter what it is. It just pulls everything together. So now what I'm going to do is just pull my brush all the way around the outside edge, and I'm getting that really pretty purple. And a nice Easter spring color. And it doesn't matter too much what the inside edge looks like. It doesn't have to be perfectly even, because that is going to get covered up with the card painting. Okay, so set that aside to dry, and I have my card base, and I'm going to take my card painting and I'm going to attach it. I like to use this narrow double-sided tape. Okay, let's just move this over here. So just along the edge. And this stuff is really great because I can just tear it. And then I go around each edge. So it's pretty fast. And this holds really well. And another thing it does, if if you're painting, if the paper has warped a little bit, this will hold it nice and flat on your card so it won't be looking wonky. Okay, one more side. And you could do a few strips in the middle too if you want to make it really secure. I usually do that. So just kind of go across, tear it off, and another one. And that should be pretty good. Okay, then I tear off the backing or peel it off. And it helps if you have good fingernails. Okay, we're getting there. It is always a bit of a tedious process. Nope, that end didn't really work. Let's try the other end. Sometimes you have to flatten it down again to get the sticky part sticking and the part you want to peel off lifting. Okay, so now just a couple of middle pieces here. Don't think that quite peeled off. Okay, well, I'm not going to worry about it. Okay, and then this last one. I think the secret is that you have to stick the end down quite well so that it stays stuck. Okay, now I'm going to line this up so that I get a fairly even border all the way around. And before you stick it down, just kind of check that it's not crooked and that it's fairly even. Okay, and then press really well. And there is the painting. Next, I'm going to take one of my finished rainbows, and I know I want it about there. Next, I want to use my foam tape that has a little bit of thickness to it. And I like to cut out a whole bunch of strips so that they're all ready to use. And these are nice scissors for this. They have a silicone edge on them so that when you cut the strips, they don't stick to the scissors, or at least not very much. Some scissors it sticks a lot. So anyway, cut a number of strips so they're all ready to go. Then put them on the back of your rainbow. And I like to put quite a few, especially across the middle, so that it doesn't look like it's falling in the middle part. So all the way around. All right, there we go. Get them pressed down and peel off the backing. These ones peel off easier than that really narrow flat tape, I find. And I just use the foam tape from the dollar stores. And of course you can always buy those that are already into squares or circles, the glue dots. I don't know if they make them in the puffy style though. Okay, so get my rainbow where I want it. And I like to have the puffy tape because it does just give a little dimension. I think I'm a bit crooked there. Let's see if I can. Well, I'm just going to leave it. I'm not going to mess with it. Then I have my sentiment. And again, I want to use the puffier tape. And I usually put about 4 on here. Actually, I'm not showing you. I'm off camera. Okay. There. And then on each end. Now, is that going to be too long? Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this one in half because it's a little long and I want to get it as close to the end as I can. Okay, and again, peel off the backing. And get it the right side up. And kind of eyeball where I want it to go before I press it down. Okay, good. And there is my finished card, ready to put in an envelope and mail off to somebody, or because I'm finishing this at the last minute, I think my neighbor is going to receive this card, and I will take it over and just hand it to them. So I hope they'll like it, and it has been so much fun to make. I absolutely adore making these cards. And remember, you don't have to use them just for Easter. They could be a spring card or a Mother's Day card. Mother's Day is coming up. Or a birthday card, or a just thinking about you card. So there are lots of ways you can use this design. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I really appreciate that you took the time to watch it. Please give me a thumbs up, and if you haven't subscribed to my channel, please subscribe using the subscribe button, and remember also to hit the little bell beside the subscribe button so that you will receive notices of my upcoming videos. And I will have a new project for next week, so keep watching my channel, and I will see you soon. Happy Easter. Bye-bye.